In the world of workers' comp, where challenges arise, the alliance of women ignites the skies. From diverse backgrounds, we come together to unlock potential, whatever the weather. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The alliance of women sets the pace. Networking to find connections we weave in leadership's realm. We firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. And ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The alliance of women sets the pace. Networking to find connections we weave in leadership's realm. We firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. Diversity, equity, inclusion, our creed. Through shared culture, we plant the seed. Mentoring programs, pathways unfold for women in workers' comp, stories untold. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The alliance of women sets the pace. Networking to find connections we weave in leadership's realm. We firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We In the world of workers' comp, where challenges arise, the alliance of women ignites the skies. From diverse backgrounds, we come together to unlock potential, whatever the weather. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The alliance of women sets the pace. Networking to find connections we weave in leadership's realm. We firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. And ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The alliance of women sets the pace. Networking to find connections we weave in leadership's realm. We firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. Diversity, equity, inclusion are created through shared culture. We plant the seed. Mentoring programs, pathways unfold for women in work as come stories untold. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The Alliance of Women sets the pace. Networking define connections we weave in leadership strongly firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We in the world of workers' comp, where challenges arise, the Alliance of Women ignites the skies. From diverse backgrounds, we come together to unlock potential, whatever the weather. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The Alliance of Women sets the pace. Networking define connections we weave in leadership strongly firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. And ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The Alliance of Women sets the pace. Networking define connections we weave in leadership strongly firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We empower each other, setting a new growth. Diversity, equity, inclusion are created through shared culture. We plant the seed. Mentoring programs, pathways unfold for women in work as come stories untold. Ignite your potential, let your brilliance shine. In this industry where we redefine, collaborate, innovate, lead with grace. The Alliance of Women sets the pace. Networking define connections we weave in leadership strongly firmly believe from blind spots to personal growth. We
Hey ladies, good afternoon. My goodness, today is the day. Checking in. Let's see, where are we? Indy, Maine, Iowa, Punta Gorda. Oh, I wish I was there. Seattle, Washington, Lancaster, PA. I grew up in Lancaster, PA. Robin, Albany, New York. Other New York. Hey, ladies, it's so good to see you. I hope you were able. Did you guys hear the theme song that was going as the webinar started? Could you hear that?
Yes, that was fantastic.
Oh, I guess you guys are muted, but yes, yes. Isn't that fun? That was built with AI. Yeah, that's not my voice, that's for sure. Well, hey, I am so excited that you guys could take time out of your day and join us, the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation, for today's webinar, Leading with Intelligence, Navigating AI for Women in Leadership. And I'm really excited, not only because we get to talk about kind of like innovative trends and that sort of thing, but today's session really is not salesy. It's truly about educating and sharing tools, giving you real life examples to kind of elevate one another as leaders in this awesome, awesome industry. So I do have to do a bit of housekeeping in the beginning here. A lot of you, just looking down through your names here, are great supporters of the Alliance, or some of you are ambassadors. So you already know a lot about the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation. But if you're not familiar, we are a nonprofit organization, and we're working to unlock the full potential of women in this industry. Our vision, as you can see listed there, is to be an industry positively impacted by women who are equitably represented, developed, and retained. And today it's so exciting because we are going to uphold that mission by coming together to enrich our knowledge base and learning about AI. We ready to get started? Oh my goodness. The risk and insurance industry, you've heard me say it time and time again, is a great place to be. It's one of those things that we all need. During the pandemic, the world shut down, but guess what didn't? Your auto insurance, your home insurance, your business insurance, right? All that stuff kept going. So it really is a great industry. Workers' compensation in particular, also very stable and has potential to grow. And in this industry as a whole, if we look outside of workers' comp, you can easily transition to other lines of business too. And we're seeing that some of these emerging risks and exposures are really opening up and evolving and creating more opportunity as well. So think about climate change, some of the societal shifts and behaviors, tech advancements. So a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today. I also think about cyber liability and of course autonomous vehicles, things like that. So again, great place to be. I'm so glad you're here. And by sitting here today, you're sending a really strong message, right? You're saying that you want to drive change, you want to make a positive impact, and you want to innovate, ultimately making it a better place to be. So, by harnessing this transformative power of AI, you as a female leader, I don't know if there's a lot of men on here, doesn't look like it from the names. You are really able to take yourself to new heights and make an impact. So I'm excited you're here. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nerdy Nikki, affectionately known and given myself that name. I'm going to share a slide with you about myself, and I'm not doing it to brag about who I am. I'm doing it with intention because I want to show you that this industry has so many roles and opportunities available, and I'm living and breathing proof of that. I've worked in many aspects throughout the entire risk and insurance journey. I'm also showing you this slide because I think there's some relatability. I think if you're on this call, that you and I may have had similar roles now or in the past, right? So I want you to know I've been there and I get it. The tech side of me, oh, my daddy was a sales guy, but he was also into computers. And he was working at Main Street Software in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There you go, Maria. I think you said you were from Lancaster. And, I was always exposed to technology from a really young age. I was running around the house with a floppy disk in my hands. I'm also the proud founder of the Work Comp Power Prompt. So I love AI. I'm so excited to talk to you about it. I think some of you have very different backgrounds. Some of you are coming into this and you have no idea what it is. Others of you might be very well versed, but maybe you're curious about some of the real life examples or something like that. So either way, today's agenda is jam-packed. We're going to hopefully pull up some large language models at the end and share some of that with you. I know some of you reached out to me and said, hey, can we look at that stuff? But we're also going to talk about what AI is. I'm going to show you how you're already using it quickly, but I really want you to leave understanding why you should incorporate it and how you go about doing that. And then I'm going to give you some of my top picks. So some of the stuff that I use in my role today or have used in the past, in my personal life as well. And then I'd love, 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 love. I mean, we've got the chat, we're open. If we're talking about a subject and there's a tool that you're using that you just love and you can't live without, pop it in the chat. And what I'll do is I'll collect all of it and then we'll push it out to you. Does that sound good? I'm not used to having all the mics muted, so I'm so sorry. All right. Let me go to my next slide here. So the property and casualty industry as a whole, right? We're traditionally lagging when it comes to adopting new technologies. And in fact, most of us joke about it in happy hours on convention room floors. But in recent years, we've been forced to, and we have really started to embrace digital transformation. And AI is coming in at an accelerating pace. And you're seeing it. You're all seeing it, right? It's resonating through almost every aspect of the claims journey, whether it's technology enabled apps, your cloud technology, your clinical systems or maybe your claim systems themselves, in staffing models, and our overall culture as well. So again, a lot of different talent levels on this call, and you might be really excited about how you can use AI, but you might not have a clear sense of what it is. And that's okay. Oops, I meant to take my company logo off of there. Sorry, I'm recycling slides. But you might not really know what it is. Again, that's okay. We've got our own subjective spin on this stuff, depending on how you're using it in your day to day. So at its core, AI is really just the ability of a computer to perform tasks that we associate with intelligent beings, right? So it can give reasons, discover meaning, give guidance towards any process, and generalize and learn from past experiences. Now, AI is really nothing new. I know ChatGPT was born on my daughter's birthday. So that was really exciting because if you've ever had children, you know, when they're an infant, you do a lot of sitting. So I was on this thing all the time, playing with that as she was in her early days of life. And that's really exciting. That's really mainstream now, but really it's been around since the 1940s. We started seeing proofs of this when it was solving mathematical theorems. And heck, I remember working in 2016 for a national TPA, and I was filling out spreadsheets. And at the time, I didn't realize that the spreadsheets that I were filling out were starting to map what they were working on in the predictive modeling space. So lots of cool stuff there. All right, so let's get into some of the good stuff. I'm a mom. I've got 4 kids. So this woman that you see on the screen that's going grocery shopping, this is not me. If you're somebody that goes to Sam's or Giant or whatever retailer you use to get your groceries at, and you take your kids with you, bless you, but I can't do it. It drives me nuts. I do a lot of online shopping. Does anyone else do a lot of online shopping? So we really can't deny AI's use in e-commerce. We see it all the time. If I'm on Amazon, it's almost borderline creepy, right? They notify me about upcoming brands. They tell me if something's been newly posted. It even gives me recommendations based on my searches. So we've seen that. Another place we see AI really transforming things is in the airline industry. So I've worked with a few clients in the work comp space, American Airlines, as well as Delta Airlines and Southwest. And I can tell you, they really, really take advantage of this technology. You think about the revenue management cycles. So if you're online, you know, it's checking to see how much you're willing to pay, when you're buying it, if you're going to pay for an extra bag or things like that. Think too about messaging automation. So if you've ever had your bag lost or something back in the day, there was no way to track it, but now it's all coming here, right? We're seeing it. You're actually tracking your bags and watching that process. If you think about crew management, can you imagine trying to staff without AI? I don't know how they did it in the past, but it's crazy. They actually can look at flight routes, the type of aircraft, how much fuel is used, if someone's on PTO, all of that stuff. It's really, really incredible. And then the last example from the airline industry here is fuel efficiency. So there's these built-in machine learning algorithms that collect and analyze the flight data. So it looks to see, you know, how far they're going, the altitude, again, the type of aircraft, how much it weighs, and even the weather. So lots of really, really cool stuff. So you might be wondering, okay, these companies, these industries, we're seeing AI being used, but Nikki, what about me? Why do I need to use it? And why do I need to implement it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a necessary upskill, right? AI may not take your job, but people that are using it probably will. I'm going to say it again in case you tuned out or if you're checking your email, because if you hear nothing else, I want you to hear this. AI may not take your job, but the people using it probably will. Okay. So AI, it's an incredible productivity tool and competitive accelerant, but it's also a bit of a double-edged sword, right? It makes human labor more expendable for companies looking to stay lean and efficient. So your job, you're thinking, well, my job's not going to be taken by a robot, right? Maybe not. But your industry peers that are using AI are going to make it so that less humans are required, right? You can see the level there. So as a high-powered executive, I won't cuss on here, kick butt woman that you are, your schedule is probably packed. You're overloaded with meetings, emails, reports, meetings that could have been an email, all that stuff. And you've got a ton of things that you're doing. Well, AI can kind of act as your force multiplier and take some of that tedious work off of your plate. I use AI assistants a lot. I'm a huge fan of large language models, and we're going to look at that in a little bit. But really, using this stuff is going to help you out so you can work smarter and not harder. The other thing is, no matter how experienced you are, AI can always enhance your knowledge and abilities as a leader. So this is the bullet, augment your expertise. So AI can quickly surface relevant insights, best practices, and analytical power to kind of boost your decision making processes. So let's say you want to, make or get buy-in decision for a key capability. Well, AI can rapidly ingest volumes of data. So think about market data, supplier assessments, whatever it is, and really kind of give you that competitive edge. And then the last thing there on the why behind the AI, I've got lead with agility and speed. So today everything is so fast paced, right? I think about the videos that pop up in my feed. I don't have TikTok. I refuse to put it on my phone. But on Facebook, I get like those messages and things, and I sometimes I get so sucked into those, right? But it's got to be quick. If it doesn't catch my attention in like 4 or 5 seconds, I'm on to the next thing. So we've got to be fast, and we've got to take advantage of real-time data, and AI can help us do that. Okay. I'm going to pause for just a second and peek in the chat to make sure everything is okay with sound, because I'm seeing some things about audio. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron and Carol and Gail. Appreciate that. All right. So let me go back to where I was. All right. So again, back to you, right? Why are you sitting in here and how can this help you? Well, I really can't answer that. You've got to be able to answer that. Before you actually implement AI or use any of the tools that I'm going to show you, you really need to define your own goals and objectives. If you don't do it, if you miss that step, it's kind of like you're, heading out on a road trip without knowing where you're going. So you're going to drive around aimlessly, wasting a lot of time and resources. Similarly to renovating a home, okay? You wouldn't just bring a contractor in and say, "Hey, yeah, go ahead and do whatever." No, no, no. You've got a plan. You know what your budget is, you know what you're after, you know your stylistic preferences, you know your timeline, you know all that stuff. And once you have that down, that's when you bring in a contractor and work through that. So don't waste your time. Take it from me, because I've been so guilty of this, because I like to play, right? I play around on some of this stuff. Don't waste your time on tools that don't deliver meaningful impact. Okay. So a lot of you have different roles. Again, just looking down through the list of names, I don't know all of your titles, but I've worked with several of you before, so I do know some of you and what you're doing. And some of you do fall into these examples that you see here. So kind of find yourself. I've just put a few examples up here, and I could probably give some more. But maybe you're a marketing executive and you've got those things, increasing leads. Maybe you're a CFO and you're trying to work through your budget and automate reporting, detecting fraud. If you're in HR, maybe you want to streamline hiring, reduce turnover, or maybe you're in the claims operation itself. Maybe you're an ops manager or even a team lead, and you want to reduce the time that your team is spending assigning new claims, predict severity, or even improve the quality and efficiency of their customer service. So lots of ideas there, but again, you've really got to plan out your own goals and objectives to make it work for you. So let's dive into AI, and I like to kind of break it out like this. There are so many different ways to label things, but I call this the primary ways that we achieve artificial intelligence. And I like to use my beach ball because I like to have a lot of color. But when we talk about the primary ways that AI is achieved, we're referring to the methods or approaches through how those function. And I've thrown together some of the primary ways, but these honestly can really be combined also in various ways to create AI systems tailored to specific tasks and applications. And I'm going to give you a ton of examples. So the first one we'll talk through here is speech. And I think we're all pretty familiar with this. If you use things like Siri or Alexa or maybe Google Assistants, they can understand and respond to our spoken commands. So the AI behind these assistants actually uses speech recognition. It detects what we're saying, and then the natural language processing is used to comprehend the intent behind those words. And then it translates our requests into actions. It could be anything like setting up reminders, playing music, or looking up information. I know every morning when I go into my daughter's bedroom to get her dressed, I go, "Hey Siri, what's the weather in Rock Hill today?" Oh, and she's telling me right now, it's currently sunny and 78 degrees. So I use it every day. I'm sure you guys are using it every day too. With small kids, I don't always have hands, or I don't want to whip out my phone because then my kids want my phone. So I use a lot of voice-driven commands. Even at the gym, on the treadmill, whatever, I'm using voice commands. You guys use this all the time. That's a pretty simple one. The next one we'll talk about is planning. So planning, if you've ever used a navigation app like Waze or Google Maps, you've used planning. They are routing algorithms, and they're powering these apps in that form of AI planning. They take a look at your starting points and at your endpoints, and then they chart that optimal route to avoid things like traffic, construction, or other obstacles. And it's constantly replanning the path based on real-time data to get you to your destination as efficiently as possible. What's your favorite voice in Google Maps? Do you guys have a voice that you like? Just curious because I don't like my voice. But there are some other examples too. When we think about planning, you've got in insurance, we talk about climate change and the risks or possible additional exposures that those are bringing, right? So natural disaster prediction, climate modeling, and even pollution tracking as well. Okay. So the next one is machine learning, and machine learning is so critical in risk and insurance that I want you to walk away today so that you never get discouraged by this AI concept when you hear it again. If you've ever sat in a meeting and heard ML or machine learning and you're like, "Oh, I don't really know what that is," then I want you to really listen up for a second. So at its core, although underneath it's really complex, in use and in its terminology, don't overthink it. Machine learning is just that. It's a machine that's learning. So the example that I like to give to help commit this to memory is think of it like a cooking recipe, or it's what do I have there? Machine learning is a recipe for success. So just like the recipe, how it will guide you on how to cook a delicious meal by learning from ingredients and directions, machine learning, those algorithms learn from data to make predictions or decisions. So instead of cooking ingredients, the algorithms use data inputs, and instead of following cooking steps, they learn patterns and relationships. Does that make sense? So think about it that way. Machine learning, truly what it is, a machine that learns. Now, it does get really complex. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a data scientist or a data engineer or anything like that. So it's way beyond my scope. But it does have several subsets to it. So I do want to go through those because I think that those are helpful. So the first one here is deep learning, and it's a subset that's inspired by the human's brain structure. So it learns from large amounts of data. Now, once it's trained, the network can accurately classify new images and it puts them into these predefined categories. Think about it like if you're trying to look at an image and determine whether it's a cat or whether it's a dog. It's particularly effective for tasks like image and speech recognition, NLP, and decision making. Another example I like to give here is let's say you want to identify a simple object like an orange or an apple or something like that. Well, your target is achieved not by, just telling it about the details about it and coding it. It's kind of like a kid, right? Where you show them multiple different pictures and they're identifying it. I hope that is kind of a helpful example. But these deep learning techniques are employed by recommendation systems. So if you look at like Netflix, like me, 9:45 at night, I'm sitting down with my popcorn to watch my Netflix. You see those content recommendations pop up. It could be the same thing with other products or music or things like that. Deep learning algorithms are also used in autonomous vehicles. So they have object detection and recognition, lane detection, pedestrian detection, and decision making as well. So the second subset here we've got is unsupervised learning. So this model learns patterns from input data without explicit supervision or labeled responses. So it's looking for patterns and structures in data by clustering them and looking at reduction techniques. So an example, when you hear the term clustering, I know that's kind of a strange one, but let's consider a data set that contains, tons of customer shopping data and you've got no labels on it. Well, if they use a clustering algorithm, that data can actually be grouped into clusters based on similarities of other customers and how they purchase things. So it looks at their purchasing behaviors. Now, this can really be helpful for businesses that are trying to identify segments of customers with similar preferences for targeted marketing strategies for any of you that are in that role. And then the last one here is supervised learning, and it's a type of machine learning where the model's trained on a labeled data subset. So it learns from input data and corresponding output labels. I'm going to make that easier to understand. As a mom of four and a busy executive, I am so thankful for email spam classification. What I do is I have one email box that rolls up. Now, not during the day, obviously, but at night, I have one email application that pulls in my work email and it pulls in my personal email. I've got all the stuff, right? I've got scouts, I've got football, soccer, you name it. So fundraisers, I'm active in church. So constantly, if I didn't have that spam filter to see like the important stuff, I would lose my mind. In risk and insurance, you can think about predictive modeling. We hear this a lot. So if you're not, comfortable with that, I think a lot of us know what that is by now. So it's looking at historical data and it's identifying trends, right? And it's trying to trigger or alarm the adjuster, the nurse, the team lead, whoever it is, that there's an action that they should take because other claims in the past went a certain direction, and this one looks like it's heading there too. But there's other ones too, like return to work predictions, reserving, litigation likelihood, all that stuff. And again, don't overthink it. Machine learning, recipe for success. The machine is learning. And just think about maybe like a kid with flashcards. That's what I like to put in my brain. So I will pause there. I'm going to look in my chat to see if anything has come up. Okay, we're good. We're going to keep rolling. The next one is natural language processing, or NLP. So same thing, Siri or Alexa. In both cases, it plays a crucial role in enabling how these virtual assistants interact with their users in a really conversational manner. It can kind of understand their intent and their context and provide relevant and helpful responses or actions. Or let's say, I don't know, a lot of you, I hope a lot of you are using AI writing assistants like Claude or Jasper or ChatGPT. But if you are using those to draft an important email, those are using NLP to understand your context and meaning from your initial prompts. And then they continue to generate relevant, coherent, and hopefully grammatically correct responses. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. Are you gone? You still hanging? Am I overwhelming you with terminology? It's a lot. It is a lot, but the more exposure you have to it, the easier it's going to get. So expert systems are like having a girlfriend who's always going to be there to guide you through hard decisions or tasks. So whether it's choosing the best healthcare plan for your family, or maybe troubleshooting a technical issue that you're having with one of your gadgets, it captures expertise of a human and then encodes it into a computer program. So it has to do a lot with using rules and logic and reasoning to mimic the decision-making process of the experts. So when you interact with an expert system, it's going to ask you questions, analyze your responses, and then give you personalized recommendations. I have some examples here. I don't know why this one's not loading. I think it was a really important one. Oh, I got two that aren't loading. Oh, I don't like that. But expert systems can streamline your decision-making process, provide insights, and help kind of get you through some of those more difficult business scenarios. So I have up there IB Watson, SAP Business Objects, or the Bloomberg Terminal, but you can't see all of them. So I figured I'd just tell you. And then again, as you know, because I've said it already, I'm a mom, so I use some sites like Winnie for childcare options. And honestly, they are much more complex than what you're seeing here. Like if I think about using them in healthcare, they can really play a crucial role in diagnosis and treatment planning. So they codify rules and best practices from doctors. That's your expert, right? Those doctors. And then these systems can rapidly evaluate patient data, like their symptoms, their test results, and their medical history. And then they recommend evidence-based diagnoses and, of course, treatment plans. So pretty cool and powerful stuff there. The next one is a little more obvious and pretty self-explanatory. I think we're all pretty familiar with vision, but machines capture visual information. The thing that's key here is we always kind of think about our own vision, but these are much more powerful than my vision and then your vision combined, right? This is like superhuman vision, like see through walls type of vision. So right now, the video meeting that we're using this platform called Teams. Have any of you guys played with the filters on Teams? There's like even a makeup filter that you can put on there. I should almost put it on to show you, but you can put lipstick on, you can do all sorts of stuff like that. Well, those filters actually use machine vision algorithms. So they detect and track your facial features and distinguish between you and your background, and then they overlay the digital elements accordingly. So it's pretty cool. And while that's pretty fun, you know, it can also have some really other great impacts too. So if you think about how this technology could be used in detecting production line defects, I think I've got that image up there. It's pretty neat to see. That technology can really help with inspection, defect detection, automating the, you think about the assembly line, so that automation of the sorting and rejection and so on. So I've got some of the companies up there, like Cognex, but there's Keyence and Omron and Basler. There's all sorts of them. And this one I think is good too. Do you see up in the upper right, the retail companies that figured out that we don't like to go to stores anymore, or not that we don't like to maybe, but we just don't have time to. They have these like virtual fitting rooms. So if you can't actually go there, you can upload a picture of yourself or the object in your room. That's pretty cool too. And that's all powered by vision, by machine vision. It's really neat. You've also got home security cameras if you've got Ring or anything like that, or maybe you've got a baby or aging parents and you're using a monitor. And then there's really more revolutionary purposes too. So going back to healthcare, you think about X-rays, MRIs, CT scans, and all that stuff. Again, this vision can be used to help detect and hopefully provide more accurate and efficient diagnoses. Breast cancer, cardiovascular disease, prenatal abnormalities. It's just so many, a wide range of medical conditions. It's pretty neat. And I think this is the last one in this section, and this one's a lot of fun, but robotics. So robots are used to perform tasks that are difficult for us to perform or perform consistently, or maybe it's something dangerous to perform. Robots are amazing for that. And recently, machine learning has been used to achieve certain good results in building robots that are really interactive. So if you haven't heard of Sophia, Google her. She's really cool to watch and look and talk to people that have been working with her. Or also, if you think about self-driving cars as well, modern manufacturing really relies heavily on industrial robots. You think about those big arms, that are in those assembly lines putting together vehicles or things like that. But again, really helping out to perform some of those more difficult tasks for us. So as we kind of wrap up that section, which I know is really heavy in terminology, I can't stress enough, though, I really want you to get comfortable with that terminology. I don't want you to be sitting in a meeting and shut down because you hear some of those terms. I really encourage you to try to intuitively understand what those things are and be able to say, yeah, I use AI every day. Look, I just unlocked my phone and I did it with the power of AI through facial recognition. So try to get comfortable there. And I encourage being enthusiastic about it too. I don't think it's going anywhere, right? I think our world has changed forever. It's kind of like do you remember back in the day, the elevators, they would have the men in, I forget what they were called. I think it was like an elevator attendant. Right. Well, back in the day, they had elevator attendants that would hit the button for you to get to your floor and they would open the door and say goodbye. We don't use that stuff anymore, right? So I think this is the way of the future. So I want to share some of my top picks. So these, I'm going to start with work first because I think that's probably more important in case you've got to jump. But the ones that I rely on, writing assistants, I rely on these so much. I can't even tell you how much I use large language models. Maybe too much, I don't know, but they're really helpful. They can draft all sorts of content, emails, reports, proposals, tons and tons of content. You just have to provide them with a prompt. And I'd be happy to demo that if we have some time here at the end. But they grasp context and continue building on ideas. So if you're, having writer's block or whatever, you need to come up with some ideas. Maybe you want to work on your public speaking skills and you want to give a session like this and you're having a hard time coming up with an idea. Oh, it's just a great way to help you and help you quickly. So I like ChatGPT, Claude. I've used Jasper. I also have Grammarly installed as well. Grammarly is more for punctuation, spelling, context, tone, things like that. But I like that tool as well. From an AI image generator, there's DALL-E and there's Midjourney. So those are great. So maybe you want to come up with a custom graphic. Earlier, if you logged in a little early, or if you were timely to today's call, you heard a song playing in the background, and it was geared towards the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation. I generated that with the software Suno, and I think there's a free trial of it, but it's not very expensive. So if you're doing something even fun for a fundraiser at work or in your personal life, it's a really fun way to get everyone all together. From a productivity standpoint, again, using large language models, any of them, you know, find what floats your boat. Some people like some more than others, or some will pay for a better version. Code assistants, GitHub, and Code GPT. Text to speech generator. I really like this if I'm giving a training, but if I don't want people to know that it's me giving the training, right? So if I am going to put together a 4-minute tutorial on how to change the event section in your signature line for our people at work, I don't want everybody coming to me in the future for personalized training on how to do that, right? So I'm going to use a fake voice so people don't really know that it's me, and they go to their supervisor if they're having a tough time. But I like Murph. And then I put on here Microsoft no-brainers. They're not necessarily terribly AI. There are some minor AI components, but these are no-brainers. If you're not using OneNote or Microsoft Forms, I love Forms. I could send a form out to you guys and get consolidated responses in seconds instead of getting, 15 emails. It's absolutely fabulous. And then my personal picks. Oh, I'm an avid blogger. I love to blog. I love to talk about risk and insurance. I told you I was nerdy Nikki for a reason. But again, I'm also really active in my community. I'm active at church, all the sports and activities that I'm involved with. So I've really embraced AI to help me through some of this stuff. I use Siri and Alexa all the time. I love for fitness, right? I've had 4 kids, so I've been on that roller coaster where you gain the weight when you're pregnant and then you're done and you have to lose the weight. Well, I couldn't have done that as well as I did without having a fitness watch to hold me accountable. And then I logged food in my Fitness Pal. And now I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where I'm trying to gain more muscle mass. So I'm trying to eat enough of the right thing. So again, I'm using my Fitness Pal to track my macros, and that works in conjunction with my watch for my fitness. So it's pretty cool. I think most of us, probably half of us, I think the statistic is 53% have some sort of um, watch or smart device that tracks their fitness levels. Then we've got baby monitors. If you're like me and you had kids late in life, then you're probably stuck in this middle spot too. So I've got aging parents, but then I also have very young children that I like to have baby monitors on too. So there's Nianit and Miku, there's all sorts of them. And some are so sophisticated that they can pick up on sleeping patterns, breathing, and that sort of thing. Photo and video management. This is the bane of my existence, right? Getting the photos off of my phone into something useful. It's terrible. I take so many and then I don't do much with them. So I really rely on apps like Google Photos or Apple Photos, whatever you want to use, because they use AI for image recognition, automatic organization. I love that, and smart album curation. So it really makes it simple for us to use those memories. And then Pictory is an AI generator that lets you create and edit high quality videos. It's really simple. I don't know if it's free or not, to be honest with you. But if you're putting together a fundraiser or something, maybe you've got a school project or you're selling cookies for the Girl Scouts or something, it'll put up there images and the videos that play. You just have to give it the content. It's really cool, and it makes it look like you're a professional, and you don't have to be. And then I think we already talked about OneNote and Microsoft Forms. I use those a lot in my personal life as well. All right. So again, the Alliance of Women, our vision is to be an industry positively impacted by women who are equitably represented, developed, and retained. And you, my friends, have embodied that vision today. So again, I thank you for showing up and driving this positive change and innovation in our industry. I'm going to stay on and show you a demo of one of the large language models. So if you want to hang around, you can do that. And if you want to drop, you can do that too. If you are in the Charlotte area on June 6th, we're having an event called Empower Her, and we're going to swap skills, kind of like what we're doing today, but it'll be a bit more collaborative. So hopefully you can join us for that if you're in the area. But the Alliance has all sorts of really fun and cool events in person and virtually as well. So be sure to visit the website and we'll get you hooked up there. So hang on if you want. If not, go ahead and drop. But we're going to do a live demo.
Challenges arise, the Alliance of Women ignites the skies. From diverse backgrounds, we come together.
All right. I wonder if you can show me hands. How many of you are actively using a large language model like Claude or ChatGPT? Do we have hands in this? Oh, we do have hands. Okay. So some of you are using it and some of you aren't. A lot of these large language models are free to use. They have upgraded versions available. So what you're looking at here is Claude. And this is a product delivered from Anthropic. And they've got a whole suite of solutions as well. But the big thing with this is making sure, like for me, I like to have an entire cadence, right? I tell it who I am or who it's going to be for the day. I give it the tone that I want. I specify my output, and I really try to give it some context. So by doing that, you're going to get a better result. But if you don't like the result you see, what's really cool is you can always kind of reiterate and try again. So let's say, for an example only, you need to come up with like a topic. You want to give, maybe you're an ambassador and you need to give a session, a virtual session or something. So I'm going to go into Claude. I'm going to start a new conversation. I'm just going to say I'm an ambassador for the Alliance of Women in Workers. It's really nerve-wracking having people watch you type. Compensation. I've been asked to give a 30-minute session on, I don't know, what do we want to talk about? Let's pretend we don't know, right? Let's say you just have to fill this requirement, this 30-minute session. Let's see what it gives us. I've been asked to give a 30-minute session to female executives in the industry. Provide, so I'm telling it who I am, right? I'm saying I'm an ambassador for the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation. You're telling it, you're giving it some context. You've been asked to give a 30-minute session to female executives in the industry. I'm going to give it the format that I want. Provide, well, let's say 20 topics and here's some additional context about the organization. So then I'm just going to pop over to the website, to the Alliance of Women, and maybe I'm going to go to the About section. It's pretty good. It gives a lot of information. I'm going to see if it's going to let me copy and paste this. We're trialing this in real time. All right, this is great because look, it's got the mission, who they are, what the goals are, their core values. So I've just copied all of that. And now I'm just going to paste this into the large language model. And I'm going to hit enter and let it do its job. It's lightning fast. It's just crazy. So here are 20 potential topics it's listing out for a 30-minute session for female executives in the workers' compensation industry. Breaking through the glass ceiling, developing an authentic leadership style, navigating work-life balance. I want to go to these. These are all just fine. Building a strong professional network, negotiating skills and advocating for yourself, managing imposter syndrome, diversity and inclusion initiatives, retaining and developing talent. These are all great, but you can see how if you're really struggling for ideas, it's very, very helpful. Or if you're going to have a panel of people, I love to do this. Let's say I've got a panel of 4 people and I'm trying to build out a session for them. I'm dropping their CVs, I'm putting their resumes in there so that it's showing me what their strengths are. And it's just taking some of the heavy lifting off of me and saving me a ton of time by giving me the information. Do you want to do another example? Okay. I'm going to pull up. These are some of my example prompts. I've got tons and tons of prompts based on different roles in the insurance industry. So if you're a claims professional, adjuster, team lead, ops manager, executive, and what I like to do and what you could do too is keep these somewhere organized like in a OneNote so that you're not having to repeat yourself all the time. Because if you're using a large language model to help you, and you haven't done some of it ahead of time and you don't keep reusing it, then golly, by the time you go there and enter all the information, you could have just drafted the email or whatever it is yourself, right? So I do recommend if you've got a notebook or something and you keep your sample prompts in there. Does that make sense? All right, so let me give you another example. I've got, this is a work comp example. All right, so here we've got a settlement demand. I'm going to copy and paste it because I don't want you to have to read through all of this. But what I'm doing is I'm putting a settlement demand in here. And obviously you'd have to redact the private information. You don't want this stuff going out into the universe. So you want to make sure that you take out any sensitive information. You don't want anything that's identifiable. But you could take this settlement demand and you could ask any question that you want. So after you've got it, you could say, respond to this letter as though you will accept. And let's see what it generates. Magic. The caveat here, it's not always right. There is still absolutely some intervention that needs to take place. You still need to read this. You still need to make sure that it's accurate. You might have to add to it too. You're going to have to edit it, but it again, it takes nothing and gives you something and you can work from there. So you could see how this is especially helpful if you've got some folks that are newer in their roles, right? Or if you're talking to a new audience. One of the things that I love, like this letter is geared towards an attorney. So if you look at this language, whew, it's not something that maybe my 10-year-old could understand. So I'm going to ask it, could you write this as though the attorney is a 10-year-old child? So this is where we say we're refining it. Look at this, how cool. Thank you for your letter telling me about injured worker's accident and why he needs money. Or rewrite this in the tone of a pirate. I love this one. Ahoy there, you scurvy dog. I've been your blasted letter about this poor landlubber. I mean, just the possibilities are truly, truly endless with this stuff. And it keeps going. I have new goals now. That's funny. Yeah, there's so many applications, honestly. Sometimes, if you've ever been to a meeting and they say a term and you don't know what it is, we all go back to our desks and we Google it, right? Well, now instead of just Googling it, you can go in there and you can say exactly what you do. And then you can ask, why is this important to me in my role, in my position within this organization? And it's going to tailor it towards maybe your department. So very, very helpful. I really hope that you got something out of today's session. This stuff is a lot of fun to put together, a lot of fun to share. And I'm in awe that you took the time to be here today. So thank you very much. Nerdy Nikki signing off. Be well, my friends. See ya.